Boom. We are live. Roundtable. Back live versus pre-recorded, edited, blah, blah, blah. I don't have time for that. And knowing that, I'll just reach out to somebody else to edit it because my computer normally sucks. Hello, Brian. Anyways, we are back. We are live. Before we go fully into the show and talk about these people, one, I love that Mark Menchaca put the Facebook post out for me. Sometimes he only makes Facebook posts when it turns out that I'm going to yell at him. So he's got some problems. Need to seek some therapy for that. Second, tomorrow night at ADST, Act 1 recap will happen for Melee. We also have a huge announcement to look forward. No, Oscars is not going away. Not yet. I do have a plan for that later. It's going to be great. But Oscars is still here for right now. Secondly, with a great acquisition, this at the last minute, a lot of money was put on the table. TV Chronicles was bought from the video store to be brought over to Multiplex Entertainment. No one has any idea what that show is except Payson Johnson. We're hoping you follow us from video store to here. But we are doing live episode Thursday of season 1 of Last of Us recap. And then every week following, we will do a episode recap of the season 2 of Last of Us here on Multiplex Entertainment. I think that's all I have right now. First up, Coho, thank you for being on. How are you? And what hidden gem did you pick and bring to us? You're muted, and that's normally my...
Oh, what a faux pas.
Anyway, I'm excited that you brought me on for the live one. I'm excited that I get to come back. Every time I'm here, I feel like
you normally drop out, but that's
either drop out or I bring something that Cody's like, all right, that was all right. You know, you're middle of the pack. I never bring something you hate. I never bring something you love. I hope I did okay. I brought Looper, and I'll explain my reasoning behind that later. But yeah.
Never heard of that film before. I can't wait to get into the discussion. Next up, Brian Michaels. Always brings normally a movie that I've never heard of with the cast of characters and everything. What'd you bring this time?
This I brought one I think you probably heard of, but I don't know, maybe you haven't seen it. And that is Thomas Crown Affair, the 1999 version, starring Pierce Brosnan.
Yes, we will get into that. John, the horror guy. Normally I just bring him on for horror episodes. This time I was like, hey, there's no theme. What do you want to bring? And what'd you bring and how are you?
I'm doing good, Cody. Hope you're doing well as well. I didn't bring a horror movie. I mean, I know you want me to bring a horror movie, but I didn't. I brought a movie that's actually my favorite movie from last year. I brought the opposite of a horror movie. I brought Thelma from last year.
Your favorite movie of last year?
That is my favorite movie of last year. Yeah.
And in deep negotiations, when the divorce happened on this channel, I had to reach out to a financial partner named Mark Menchaca to help split up the StreamYard with me. And his one request is, I would like to still do Roundtable. He's the co-chair. He's still on the Roundtable. But I think it was just to torture me and to make my life a living hell. What'd you bring, buddy? I can't wait to do another show with you.
You know what? It's funny that you bring up the financing part of it, because right, okay, there it is. Send it off there.
Thanks.
There we are. Officially, since FAC's opens up his Venmo, I also crack him a beer. I have not drank on call since the YLS, so we're gonna give this another go. I brought a 1990 deep dive class, a Space Invaders. That'll speak for itself later on, I think.
Listen, you're cracking a cold one. I wish I did stop cracking cold ones, because I could have used it for this. I brought the Omen, 1976. The Omen. I'll get into reasonings a little bit later why I brought that. Not just because John's here, but it's been on my list for a while, and that's what most people do for the shows. Oh, next April 27th, we have another roundtable. It has already been picked out. It has already been decided upon. Let me tell you, better movies than I think. Well, I can't say that. I haven't seen a lot. But next month on the 27th, we'll add this to the Facebook group. But The Accountant, I think it's right in time for the Accountant 2 to come out. 2009's Daybreakers. 1986 is The Fly. 2007 Sunshine. And The Beekeeper. So that will be on. Brittany Tapley, Tyler Birch, Mark is back, me, and Jeremy Potters. That's the group. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with our first one. And again, this is live. So if you have any thoughts on this, I'll put them on the screen. Or hell, if you have a hard enough rant, I might send you a stream mode. Like, who knows? But we're going to start with this hidden gem that no one really talks about and no one ever heard of, Looper. So, Cole, I'm going to pass it to you first. Why did I want to put the peek behind the curtain before we do this? Can all the chat agree with me on this? He gave us two options. He said a thriller that no one speaks of anymore, and he said that was Nightcrawler. And then he said a sci-fi film that no one talks about, Looper. I don't think either one of those are accurate representations, but I'm going to let you defend and talk about it. Go ahead.
I think I'm absolutely correct when I say this community doesn't talk about those two movies nearly as much as we used to, or as much as we do anymore. I don't think I've heard Looper talked about in at least a couple of years, at least 3 years in this community, except to be like, hey, by the way, Rian Johnson made that sci-fi movie before he did Star Wars and Knives Out as like context, but no one really talked about it. Like, really, like, we haven't brought it up on podcasts or things to talk about. So I was like, I'm going to bring Looper back because I haven't seen it in a long time and I wanted to rewatch it, revisit it, and bring it with the group. And I was really surprised going back to it how much I didn't totally remember about it. I remember the concept of it. And going in and watching it, I think it's so cool. Like that movie in a way where you watch it and you're like, there's something kind of unique about Looper where it exists in like my favorite kind of sci-fi, which is like, it's the future, but it's not a far enough future like Blade Runner or Star Wars where you don't recognize what you're seeing anymore. Like people are still driving Fords, but then also there's people with hover bikes, like randomly, like they're like these luxury vehicles. And I love that kind of setting for this story, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, is really crushing. I think the makeup in it for him is really good in it as well. Like to make him look like Bruce Willis a little bit, and so that's not that crazy of a jump when Bruce Willis shows up. You're like, oh yeah, this guy grew up into Bruce Willis. But no, I really like what Rian Johnson did. I think the plot really propels itself forward, and I think that setup of like the world and then cutting into Bruce Willis's perspective of how we get to these events, really good. All right, Pascal.
Okay, can we just really quick just say that Joseph Gordon-Levitt looks nothing like Bruce Willis? I don't want that to be besides the eyes.
No, it's not.
What?
Not as an actor whatsoever. No.
No, like you can get. Thanks God this eye switch, because if not, no. Or he had the hardest life that he has ever had.
Well, they do that one scene where he has like the comb. He has the comb over, like in year 23. It's like, oh, he's the same guy. I get it.
I like that. I do. Hold on, though. I do really love the tackiness of that little like. We have to make him look like Bruce Willis through time, and like year 23, like you said, he's like balding with really long hair.
It looks so bad.
He looks like Gary Oldman from Fifth Element.
Yeah,
it's wild the hairstyle from there. But
I'm kind of glad. I think we have at least. I think we stopped throwing Joseph Gordon-Levitt in everything. I think that's like a good thing that's kind of happened, because I think he's one of the weakest parts of this movie, which it features around him. I just don't think he's that good of an actor, if that's my honest opinion. And I think the logic in this movie, I think it's just not great overall. I think they swing for the fences. They have a lot of fun with it. It's a lot of fun of a movie, don't get me wrong. I just think like the back and forth, it doesn't make a full lot of sense in there, or I'm not smart enough. Everybody saw this movie prior to Coho bringing it.
No.
Oh, then you did find a hidden gem for John.
Yeah.
John, I'm curious. What was your first impressions of Looper?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Joseph Gordon-Levitt is crushing it or he's just doing a pretty good Bruce Willis impression, because all he does is change his diction to sound like a young Bruce Willis. That's all he really does. So I don't know if that's crushing it, then he crushes it. And then as far as the logic goes, I'm kind of with Cody. It's weird that you can like the time loop goes through and then he changes the time loop and it doesn't change anything, but then it changes things, or does it not change things, but it changes things? Or are there multiverses? Is it one loop? Because they act like it's one loop, but it's clearly not. Ryan Johnson,
when he gets
Ryan Johnson, call me and explain it to me, because you make it seem like it's one loop, but it definitely can't be. It can't possibly be. It has to be multiple loops for the movie to work. But whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
What are you? Oh, you're gonna defend the loops?
I think it actually does make sense, but I think like when you're first introduced, you see how the loop was, and now you're seeing how it was changed, and like how Bruce Willis, his character at this point, changes the loop at this point in time, which creates a new version of the loop that is the one you're experiencing.
Then why would it necessarily need to resolve if he kills himself? He could technically be a different version of himself. Like, you're gambling, killing yourself. Then spoilers, you're gambling, killing yourself. Yeah. If it's a multiverse, like, you can shoot yourself and he might live.
I think you're wrong, though. I think you're not following the logic of the movie, where the movie's logic is that it is one loop, but the assumption is that the loop happened one way for so long, and that's how it's supposed to happen. And then Bruce Willis changes the loop, and now that has always been how the loop happens. Once you change the loop, the old loop no longer exists at all. It never did.
Right. Multiples don't exist. It's been changed.
Right.
Okay. Then they do a poor job of explaining that.
I disagree. I think when they
I got it.
The loop, they set that up pretty clearly.
Fair. Mark, Brian, you guys have watched this movie before. Thoughts prior to it, thoughts leaving it?
I liked this movie from the first time I saw it, when it first came out. I think that, like Coho, one of my first notes was that I love near future sci-fi, because it's not the stuff that's like, laser guns and spaceships and stuff, but it's basically our world, just slightly in the future, a few things different. They did make a little bit of a jump with the whole, telekinesis thing, but obviously that plays into the whole thing with Kid, so that was necessary. But I love kind of the setting of it with the near future. I have no problem with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think the makeup is shit and it's just distracting. It's like, I feel like it was unnecessary. I think if you just put Joseph Gordon-Levitt and said, this guy grows up to be Bruce Willis, I'll just suspend disbelief and get it. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But you start putting weird makeup on it, and that's just all you're seeing. Maybe if we didn't know Joseph Gordon-Levitt beforehand, we could buy it. But knowing what he looks like and knowing he's got this weird makeup on, it's just distracting to me. Like, maybe do the nose, but then they also did like the forehead, and they like plucked his brows and did all kinds of weird shit. And so I found that a little bit distracting, but that was just kind of a nitpick. But I really did enjoy the movie. I love the way they actually use the kind of time loops, things like that. Like when you're trying to send a message to that one guy who tried to escape, and they start, carving things into his arm and then like chopping off body pieces, and they're falling off as he's, trying to crawl there, because exactly that's what we're talking about. They've changed the time loop. Like, now in the loop, since they've cut off a piece of this guy, now this other him that came from the previous future is losing the pieces because he doesn't have those pieces anymore. So it all made sense to me, but I just really thought it was creative. I don't look too hard into the whole time travel thing, because every time travel movie has its own rules, and to try to apply rules from like one to another just doesn't work. But yeah, this is fun. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I still enjoy it now.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, by the way. I think yeah. I like Ryan Johnson in general, but I would double down on my "it doesn't make sense" thing, because when he kills him, he obviously erases him, which means he didn't shoot the kid in the face. The kid still has the bullet wound on his face. He couldn't have shot him if he doesn't exist. He couldn't have saved Gordon-Levitt in the diner. He couldn't have saved him on the fire escape. None of those things could have happened because he wouldn't have existed.
Right, but the thing is, none of those things would have happened at all anymore because he doesn't exist. So now he would never have been.
But then his dead body wouldn't be where his dead body is, where Emily Blunt walks over and sees it.
I mean, yes, he would, because he still lived up to a point. Like, up to a point, he lived.
But the older version of him, the older version of him interfered in those last few days of his life, and he couldn't have.
But he does, right? Like, he exists to a point, which is where the loop begins.
That's
right?
not the question. Okay. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, of course, exists. Bruce Willis showing up and shooting at the kid still exists, but it can't anymore because he killed himself.
That's it. That's all I'll say. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm saying, like, that's.
You're saying
that's
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That's fine. We're talking about Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis can't because he's existed up until that point.
Like Bruce
This
Willis
is him
can't have
coming
killed
back.
that guy on
He's
the
now
fire escape.
eliminated Bruce Willis from the loop.
The map couldn't have gotten torn in
Hold on,
half. Like all these things couldn't have happened.
But the thing on the fire escape would have never happened at that point. What you're saying is anything with Bruce Willis would have never happened because it would have no need to happen because now there's
You know
no
what?
time.
The thing we have proved, fucking confusing a little bit. Okay, they don't do a very great job of.
I think you guys are overthinking
Except
like
fictional characters. Mark, what do you think?
Listen, I feel
you
like
just asked me to steal third base. I'm just saying.
I feel like Ryan Johnson did himself a big favor in the middle of this movie when the two characters meet and they're trying to explain it. And he's like, no, don't try to understand it, okay? We're just gonna be sitting here all day making diagrams of straws. Like it's not gonna make complete sense. Just know that we're here now. The future is not 100% set, and it can still be changed from what we're doing. Like it just honestly, I think it can be seen as a bit of a cheap tactic in time travel movies, but in really, it's just the director is telling you, he's like, listen, just let me make the fucking movie I want to make, and this is the story, this is what it is, it's gonna, make sense in the end. Like, who really cares? I mean,
I hate that logic. I absolutely hate that logic.
I mean, Avengers Endgame uses the same logic.
They do.
I didn't say that worked out perfectly either. Fair enough. That's why I don't like it as much as I like Infinity War.
I mean,
Endgame's logic is fine.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, I really liked this movie the first time I watched it, and I kind of liken it a little bit to. I liken the experience kind of how I was with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where I liked it a lot when I saw it, kind of forgot about it over a couple of years, just revisit it, and honestly, every time I revisit it, I honestly can't find very many things I don't like about it. I think Ryan Johnson honestly creates just the ideal, kind of almost like noir sci-fi world. He has such a good job of just creating characters with this hard and rugged personality. I kind of love he brings in Bruce Willis here, and I mean, all the technical stuff I think is really neat. I think a lot of the character development is super good. I mean, I'll just ride for Ryan Johnson till the day I die. The one thing I do find kind of interesting going back to is kind of the Bruce Willis of it all, because I think we all kind of saw this as one of Bruce Willis's last great performances, and especially looking back, especially when I think he was clearly dealing with this illness he had as probably the last 10 years or so, and probably the reason why this one kind of is a bit elevated is going back realizing there's really only one scene where he has to talk a lot. Every other scene he's in, he's just kind of it's just kind of built by the aura of Bruce Willis.
Ryan Johnson, yeah, I think a lot of people are on the same. Cody hates just stupid fun. No, that's not true at all. I like stupid fun just fine. It's confusing.
I don't think this is stupid fun. I don't think Looper thinks it's stupid fun. I don't think Looper thinks
absolutely not. It's not stupid. I believe Ryan Johnson, and this is from a lot of movies at this point. He believes he's one of the smartest guys in the room, and if he is to you, that's fine. It's just the vibe I get, and that's fine. Again, I say that stuff is I don't hate this movie. I like this movie a lot. It took me a while because I haven't watched it in a while. But again, it falls for the problem of that time. Is I honestly believe if you cast anybody besides Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think you get an even better movie, because there's no need for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be the person. There's no need, and it's just because we were trying to make him happen. That was the main thing. We were throwing him in everything. People wanted him to be Batman or Robin and blah blah. Horrible decisions. Go ahead. You want to jump on the thing of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, please.
I'm saying he's a good actor, and he retired for a reason.
Not.
He does a couple things every now and then. He's always really good when he comes back.
He's retired?
He's pseudo-retired. When he
comes
back
good
for
job.
When he comes back for something, it's because he really likes it. Trial of Chicago 7, he came back because it was Sorkin and he liked the script and he's really good. But I think that
he's not that good of an actor.
I think he's good in certain kinds of roles. I think that They try to shoe him more into things that he wasn't necessarily fit for, and I think that's what kind of made his career not quite take off like it could have.
He's like Eisenberg.
When you put him in things like 500 Days of Summer, things like that, I enjoy him.
I agree he should never be like Batman or anything. That's a weird choice. But I agree. But I think Brian's entirely right. When they tried to force him into like a lot of things that he's not right for, it's the same reason with like a lot of things like other actors like Russell Brand and shit like that. But I think
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
There's a lot of talent. But
he's Jesse Eisenberg. He's Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg's a better actor than him, but yes, I would agree with him. He's used in a certain way. But I think the real reason why he's this part is because he's very close with Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson puts him in everything that he's in. He's in both Knives Out movies and like small voice cameos. He has like a very small part in The Last Jedi. Like he gets put in everything Ryan does because he's the guy who starred in Ryan's first movie. So that's why he he's the lead of Brick and then he's the lead of Looper.
I understand, but small voice part here, I don't. Cool, you're here.
Well, it's because he was retired. He would have given him a bigger part, but JGL's like, I'm not doing.
Do you think he'd get a bigger part? Where do you put? Like, okay, this is the wildest conversation that we're defending.
I'm saying, I guarantee you that if Joseph Gordon-Levitt was like, I'm unretired and I'm back in things full time, he would probably have been the Benicio del Toro part, like genuinely in Last Jedi. Like I could totally see Ryan being like, "Yep, that's the guy I'm putting." I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's their relationship. I don't.
So Ryan's an idiot with casting. That's fine. That's cool.
He's loyal to his friend. That's all.
Any more thoughts on Looper?
That little kid is ugly.
Yeah.
Hey, what was our theme of this show of like picking like weird like demon kids or whatever? Like
seriously.
Almost all of the movies.
No demon kids in my movie.
Except for Brian's.
Well, yeah, but John, you made a mistake. Yours should have been next week with Beekeeper. Should have paired those up.
I didn't know. Oh, yeah, they're the same movie.
Pretty close. Just one's better. Yeah, Demon Kids. Kids sucked. I think we haven't really talked about her, but I think oh God, what's her name now?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. I think Emily Blunt's really good in this. Yeah. It's a fun time. It's a good time. It just is what it is. Scores, or do we need anybody want to talk about more and want to defend Joseph Gordon-Levitt some more? No. Okay.
The last thing I'll say is I like seeing Jeff Daniels play a bad guy. He doesn't get to play a bad guy very often.
Dude, okay, I actually forgot to mention Jeff Daniels though. I love him in this. I think he's quietly kind of popped up in stuff across that decade that we don't like really think of him in those like major supporting parts, but he's always crushes. Like even like things like The Martian, where
literally
he's really good in The Martian. Like
now that we're mentioning
The Martian's not like a big showcase for him, but like he comes in, he's really good. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, he's very good.
College just needs to be people's hype, man.
And also
not the Martian. He's great. Yeah, it's fun.
Now that we're mentioning the bad guys, they also tell us in this movie that in the future, like the criminal syndicates control time travel. But if they control time travel, why don't they just fucking control everything? I don't understand. Like, how are they like not that powerful?
That's the implication that they kind of do.
But if it's outlawed, they should just run it. Like it shouldn't even be underground. It should be like, here we go.
They want it to be controlled by just them. That's why it's like, you know what I mean? Like if everyone could have it, then they can't control it.
I've been Ryan Johnson the whole time. All right, Ko, whatever. Next movie.
I mean, we didn't establish these were smart criminals, so like they could have just been dumbasses that just use it as their garbage disposal.
We didn't. We also haven't established that Ryan Johnson's that smart of a person either. So just want that on the record. All right, scores. Coho, what's your score?
I go 4.5. This used to be a 4. I think I take it up to that half just because of how much I enjoy it. I like this world a lot. I kind of wish we got more outlets to explore it and the ability of loopers, but I also get that probably would have made it worse. So yeah, I like Looper.
Brian.
I think I'm still at 4 stars.
John.
I'm also at 4 stars. I like it a lot. I just don't think I'll ever like get past 4 on this one.
Mark.
This is probably actually Ryan Johnson's like second best movie. I think it's my personal third best. I think I still like Brick a little bit more. It's still fantastic. It's 4.5 stars. It's really great.
It's 4 stars. I don't think it'll ever rise above 4 stars, but it's 4 stars. It's definitely have no problem rewatching it. Now we're on to my film, The Omen from 1976. So I have not seen this movie prior. So if you hate it, I don't care because I picked it because I hadn't seen it, and it's been on my watch list for a really long time. Um, I I don't regret picking this movie, but I didn't love this movie overall. I feel like this movie is very cheesy. For the best terms I can use. Fuck that kid. I'm just gonna be real honest. I wouldn't have to haul him to a to church and to plant the knife. I would have just done it where we were at. Into that real quick. Um, but overall, I think there's some. I think the performances are fine in this movie. I think it's very theatrical. The one thing I will say that stands out for this movie for me is how it's shot. I think I think he does a really good job with the camera work in this and like setting up the facials and like the fear and like the the scary kind of investigating of how this works. If a priest ever meets you and asks to meet you and be like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Your wife is going to die." I don't know if you shouldn't listen to him, but you probably should just like maybe listen to him. Like I don't know, just some crazy shit. Like the moment the moment the maid gets hung outside your thing, and the next day the guy's like, "You need to talk to me. Your wife's gonna die." I'm gonna take the call. I'm gonna listen. But I think there's some great performances. There's some creepy acting in this. I think it's just like that 1970s just horror has a really good uh, environment. I'm curious, has anybody who hadn't seen this movie prior? So only Koho. Okay, so you're in with me.
Yeah.
What was your take on The Omen?
I needed a shower. To be so real with you. I hate shit like this. Like personally to watch, it creeps me the fuck out and it gives me bad dreams. But I watched it for this because I'm dedicated. But no, I thought I think Richard Donner makes really quality entertainment that just vibes with me. I didn't. If you told me this guy made Superman, I don't think I'd have believed you unless I'd like had seen it. It just does not give me the same guy that made Lethal Weapon and Superman vibes. But he did a really good job. Like you said, it's really unsettling to me at points. Like yeah, like I think some of it inherently has a little bit of cheese to it now after seeing things like Conjuring and stuff do like this kind of stuff in a way that like really freaks me the fuck out. But like I think that it still is really effective at points where where like certain like I don't want to spoil it, but certain deaths and certain events that happen.
Pause.
Yeah.
Just pause. If you're watching the Roundtable live and we're talking about The Omen, we're gonna spoil the shit out of all these movies. So don't watch those if you haven't.
You were
watched
told the
them.
movies in advance. You could have watched.
I
them.
mean, we
We
spoiled the
told
shit
you
out
a
of
month
Luke.
in advance. Yeah, we told you a month in advance. So like, yeah, there's a lot of people there's people that die in this film. So go ahead.
Okay, then I'm going to talk about the thing that like made me pause the movie. The thing that had to make me pause the movie for a second was the stuff with Catherine over the stairs. Not because the scene in the moment itself is done in a way that's really creepy, but
That's awful.
but the fallout of that, what happens in that moment, made me ill. So like, yeah, the movie itself is really well directed, and it's like a well done horror movie. But holy fuck, I needed a shower after watching it. It's just there was like an ick on me afterwards. But yeah.
I don't have an updated list of worst like falls in cinema, which I need to create. Rear Window was really high up there for the longest time of like one of the worst falls at the end of movies. Her fall in this movie from that banister, one of the all-time. It takes the cake. It's number one that I've seen that I can remember. And that fucking kid just smiling through the fucking stairs. I'm just like, fuck. Problem child with like real demonic problems. So you three had seen it. First of all, your overall thoughts when I dropped it in the chat, because you guys at least have seen this, so you're like, fuck, or happy or what? And then what was your guys' initial reactions after you saw it the first time?
Well, I'll go just because for me it was almost like a first time watch because I had seen it like in the 90s, I think. And I really only remember kind of the broad strokes of it, you know, the basic plot of it. Certain scenes, like I remember that when the nanny or whatever commits suicide, I remember, you know, at the birthday party showing stuff. I remember that part. But other than that, it was almost like a fresh watch for me because I didn't remember much of it. I'm not much for 70s type horror movies, just not kind of my vibe. There are some that I like more than others, and I usually enjoy, like even this one, I enjoyed to some extent. I just didn't love this thing. That's one of the things I was going to say right there. I would have never guessed Richard Donner directed this if I didn't already know it. It's just such an anomaly on his filmography because Richard Donner's movies, if you look at his filmography, they all have like a sense of fun to them, whether they're action movies or dramas or family films like Goonies or whatever. And this is the one that's like it's dead serious. It's this horror movie. It's like the only thing like it that Richard Donner did. Now, granted, this is very early in his career, so he was probably just kind of a director for hire, so he wasn't making Richard Donner movies yet. But it's weird to think of him as a director of this one. Honestly, the thing that stood out most for me is such a trivial little thing. I'm not sure I've ever seen David Warner play a good guy. And it was so weird for me to see him as
he's the theater teacher in Scream 2. He's a good guy.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Isn't that? But he kind of has he's always kind of playing like either the douchebag or the evil guy or this outright villain, or master control program, whatever it is. But it's just weird for me to see him as good. The movie itself, I enjoyed it. Again, 70s horror is not my kind of thing. It comes across a little bit cheesy to me, especially I know Kayla mentioned the score. I thought the score it was so 70s. It kind of took me out of it a few times.
I will, before you will talk, the one thing that took me out, and this seems to be a growing trend in my life, so I need to probably go talk to somebody, but like the dogs barking and the fucking monkeys howling that went on for 75 hours in this movie, it felt like I was just losing my mind. Like, somebody shut that fucking dog up, or the four dogs. And by the way, terrible sell for like I'm surprised this didn't have more negative effects on people buying Rottweilers. Just on that note, because never put them as demonic dogs, but after this movie,
that'll probably make people buy them more.
True. I'm gonna go to Mark before I go to John because I'm curious about John's opinion. But
I actually did want to jump in here before John. I think it's he ends it off. Yeah, I saw this for the first time. I honestly can't remember. I think it was like a couple years ago. And I was not a huge fan of it. I was kind of thinking, oh, this is kind of something. This is like more akin to like serious horror, like we got from like The Exorcist. I thought that was partially what I thought I was going to get. And I didn't get that at all. And I was like, oh, this movie kind of sucks. So like when you put it on here initially, I was like, I got to rewatch this dumb movie. Like what? So went in there going in, and honestly, going back, I had a lot more fun with it. I honestly, like kind of knowing that this movie is really cheesy. And I mean, I do kind of want to like at least bring this up because Brian said like Richard Donner like makes a lot of fun movies, and like this movie isn't that fun. I don't know, Brian. This movie's kind of fun. Like because these guys should have known there was like trouble like within the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
Like the fact that this
wrong reason. Yes.
the fact that this maid just showed up, they didn't call, and they're like, "Well, I guess she's the maid now. We'll just keep her in our house." And like they were just cool with that. And she brings in this dog who's like barking at Gregory Peck, and he's like, "Why the fuck is there this random dog in my house?" Like
she's really aggressive too. She's really aggressive. Like this is what he wants. Oh. Fuck you, lady.
Well, I was kind of because he was like the ambassador. I thought that like maybe his whole housing and everything was set up by handlers people. So he just thought, oh, they hired the help formula. So already, I don't know.
I don't think so, no.
That's her excuse. She says she's from the agency, but like, yeah.
No, bitch, get out.
Him and his wife should have been all right. Fuck this kid. We're leaving. We're going back to the States where we don't have like random nannies and evil dogs in our house. No. And yeah, also like the kid's clamming up as we're going to a church. No, something. We're just getting rid of this kid. Like, you know what? I don't know what's happened, but like Gregory Peck should have been like, hey, I just got this kid from some random place. All right, I don't know whose kid this is.
I completely forgot about that part, and that's like a major part of the movie. And like, I thought they just had this kid who turned out to be like this, spawn of Satan or whatever. I forgot about the whole dead baby and the baby switching and all that shit. I didn't remember any of that.
But no, like all that like is just wild to me. And like watching it is like, yeah, this is like I was able to have fun with it just because of like how weird and like kind of kitschy it is. And then we throw in kind of like the like I guess like the devil or demons like doing stuff, or maybe it was Damien, or also where we have like those freak lightning storms, and we got like these like Final Destination like kills like from like this like guy getting like speared from a church, and that photographer getting his head cut off. Yeah, that was awesome. I like that.
Real quick.
Mark said what I was going to say. I was like, watching this again, one, since we're in the middle of the Omen verse now with the first Omen and there's clearly more coming, it's cool to go back and watch the Omen again. But also, yeah, this might piss off horror fans, but Final Destination 2 and 3 like directly rip off the Omen. Because it's like, look at these pictures. That's Final Destination 3. And then like the other thing, like where you see the shadows and stuff moving, that's Final Destination 2. So the movies you kids love rip off the Omen. That's how you like that. But all in all,
maybe they ripped off. Maybe the Omen ripped. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, yeah, because basically what happened was old Joe watched Final Destination 3, and then he loops back in time, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt forgets to kill him, and then he tells Richard Donner that shit, and that's
now you're speaking.
There we go. Ryan Johnson, a genius.
It didn't save that one girl who got like speared by that flag. Like, yeah. Like the same way as that
side character.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Omen's a classic in my mind, at least.
Yeah, I guess the more we're talking about it, the more it's cheesy, but I when I watch it, I didn't have a bad time watching it. I don't know if a sidestep would have helped that priest from the spear dropping, but
he definitely watched it fall 3 stories. He's like,
I would have tried it. I would have tried like a ninja roll or something.
Yeah.
Like something, nothing. Like, and again, that one guy's like gets his head. That scene is pretty cool when the whole thing goes back and just that head for the 70s. I was like, yeah, it looks a little cheesy, but like, I just love it. He throws the things. He's like, kill a child. What if I'm wrong? I'm not doing it. Well, I'll fucking do it. He starts pulling it up, and then the head gets taken completely off, and then the next shot we see is him sitting on the air, like with the thing. I was like,
I love that in the 70s you could walk onto an airplane with like 7 daggers. Like, here we go, it's the 70s, everybody.
7 daggers. You just sitting there like,
or I'll put my bag in the metal detector. No thanks, I'll hold on to this. You don't gotta worry about the bag.
When Gregory Peck's walking down that hallway and the lady and the dog's like growling at him, it was like, where's this dog? Like, where'd you get this dog from? It was like, oh, she's bonded. I don't give a fuck. That's like, if I'm pissing my pants because like that's great. And then yeah, she's like, when her whole thing is like, he calls her and he's like, I need you to get ready. This woman's in a full like cast, can barely walk, do anything. I need you to get ready. She's putting on her own thing. She gets it over her head, and that crazy bitch shows up with just this walking towards her. I was like, she's gonna push her out the fucking window. Like, that's how this is been. Yep. And there she goes right to the ambulance. There's just some really cool shots that they're able to achieve in this. No way both of those men, sorry, Gregory Peck or the other guy, are surviving 2 Rottweilers on their asses. They're both dead instantly. And like, how did he get his arm? He stabbed his arm basically through. I was like, it's just lacking. You're uncoordinated as fuck, because I don't even know how you achieve that with that much force to put your arm through it. Yeah.
Also, as far as Richard Donner goes, no Richard Donner movie respects diplomatic immunity. The guy gets shot in Lethal Weapon 2, and he should be able to stab that kid. He's a diplomat. Why did they shoot him? He has immunity. Ridiculous.
That's yeah. And then the kid gets to the thing, and they end up saying, "Officer, yeah, okay, all this shit's been happening. You're the most convenient cops that have ever been put on the spot right away." And they end up killing it. And then Damien's like fucking face. I was just like. I had to rewind the part when she hangs herself because she like stares at that dog, and I'm just like, "What the fuck's the dog telling you to do? Like, go kill yourself." Got it. Like, it was just there's some parts of this. Like, Bowman has an interesting question. I'm not really sure because I haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, but Rosemary's Baby versus The Omen, which was better? I don't know.
Rosemary's Baby.
There's no question, Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah,
like,
it's close for me, but probably Rosemary's Baby.
The Omen, but none of them are good.
Okay, there you go. Anything else on the Omen before we go on to the next one?
No,
Perfect. It's
I brought up Final Destination, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I see the Omen 3. There's more, and there's one with Sam Neill. That's interesting.
Yeah. The Omen verse. It's going to be the Omen verse in a few years. They're all going to be put together. It's going to be great.
So it's my movie, so I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. Not bad, not amazing. I would watch it again, but I don't like absolutely love it. Brian.
I'm also at 3 stars. Kind of same thing. Not great, not bad. Don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but it was fine.
John.
I would normally go 4, but I'm kind of like between 4 and 4.5. I think with just having fresh off the first Omen, I'm kind of at 4.5 because I'm really invested in this universe now. So I'm 4.5 for the Omen.
So the first Omen is good, is what you would say.
The first Omen is good, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, I'll double down on the first Omen. That is a good movie. I actually do kind of want to go and rewatch this Omen franchise now. Like, okay, but just like knowing that it's kind of cheesy and kitschy, I can get on board with that. Yeah, I'm up to 3.5 stars now. Yeah.
Sir, I don't think you can check quality of any films. I think everything's on the table for you. Coho.
I'm gonna go 3.5. I don't think it's bad. I think it's well made. It's just something I would probably not willingly watch again.
All right. Then we're gonna go to John's favorite film. Thelma. All right, get into it. Why this movie? Why was it your favorite last year? Have at it.
I kind of like just the fact that it is an action movie, however you want it, but they just slow it down for 90-year-olds because all the beats are the same. They have the really small walk away from the explosion scene. She does rolls, she falls, and it's like it's done funny, but all the one-to-one shots, even to the point that they're watching Mission Impossible, like, wow, he's that Tom Cruise, he's really cool. And then she redoes all those scenes, but at a 94-year-old woman's pace in the movie. And on rewatch, I realized that my son is Fred Hetchinger and I am Clark Gregg, and it made me love the movie even more. Oh yeah, go check out Thelma.
This is the first one that I've seen. Did anybody see this movie prior? Oh, okay. I am stunned that the two people that shook their head no with me, because this seemed right up both of your alleys. If I know you guys at all like action films, like I figured, like maybe not old people doing action films, but overall, it's goofy action. I think you both would have gravitated, and plus, I think you two are considered like two people that like to watch newer things that come out. Because Brian's seen everything that's came out in history of film. Coho, you saw it prior, right?
I did, yes.
So do you agree with John's take, or what was your thoughts on this movie the first time you watched it?
I think I saved it to the end of the year. A lot of the recent releases that I missed, I hit in December and January when I'm trying to watch everything before we do co-Oscars and Oscars and all that jazz.
At 2 times speed, yeah, gotcha.
Of course, yeah, of course. And so Thelma was one that I had a lot of people telling me that I needed to watch before I put it in a ballot. And I would say it's good. I enjoyed it. I didn't nominate it for shit, but it's fun. I think that fucking June Squibb is an actress that I loved her in Nebraska. I haven't seen a lot of her stuff. Whenever she pops up in an Alexander Payne movie or something, I'm like, oh, she's good. But I thought she was really great in this. She's really fun. I think she's actually in her early 90s as an actress in real life. So
she's 94, I think. She was born in 1929. Yeah.
Yeah. So she absolutely did amazing for it was the year of 94-year-olds making things, because Clint Eastwood's Juror number 2 being 94 years old making a movie like that. Good job, Clint. But no, I thought Thelma was fun. I like the ending of it a lot. I think when you get to the end with the confrontation and all that, I think that's probably the stuff that I think is the best part of the movie. I think it's a little bit, I'm not going to say slow in the middle, but it's just, I think they drag this movie out a little bit longer than it needs to go. But the ending is very well learned. Good stuff.
All right. So Mark, Brian, and myself have not seen this. I feel like we're all going to be all over the place on this one. I didn't love this movie. I didn't hate this movie. I didn't love this movie. I get the slow action, the haha. That trope it got really tired for me really fast. I like her as an actress. I would like to, have a conversation with her. I don't know if I want to watch her do action things, walk up those stairs slowly, uh, fuddle around with a gun slowly, walk away from explode. Like that stuff just doesn't work for me. I think she's a good actress. I think it's fun to like have some it's has some enjoyable elements that I overall didn't hate, but overall I don't know if I'll revisit it that often. I would have higher hopes because I think she is a funny actress. Like when she gets to just go, I just I don't. The best thing I don't know what the point of making this movie was. I don't like maybe just give her a pay. I don't know. It just seemed like it was we got her on contract or she's 94. Let's roll her out there and do this stuff. I think there's some funny like old person moments too. Like they can't hear, so like when the gunshots go out, like that stuff's funny. But in the Mission Impossible, it just yeah. But Brian, Mark, what'd you guys take of this? Because I said this slightly in passing to Mark. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna have some things to say," and then so apparently he liked it. So Brian, what was your take on it?
Oh, my take. Yeah, this is one I didn't want to rush out to theaters to see this one. It looked like it was fine.
Save your
I watched it and it was fine. Like you said, I like Gene Squibb as an actor. I've seen her pop up in a few things. I think the last thing I remember seeing her in was Table 19, which is a Anna Kendrick comedy. But seeing her in like the primary role here, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed seeing what's his name, like Fred Heschinger as the grandson. I think after just seeing him as completely over the top and crazy in like Gladiator 2, I thought seeing him as like just a normal nice kid here. I liked him here. The rest of the cast was fine. Clark Gregg was good. Parker Posey just kind of playing Parker Posey, which it's not necessarily a good thing. She can be a bit much, but I don't know. Although I don't know if she ages. She looks the same age she did 20 years ago. I don't know. But the movie, it was fine. It was light. It was fun. Yeah, I don't regret watching it. Again, it's not something I'll watch again. But for me, when it comes to the movies like this of trying to get revenge on somebody who stole grandma's money, I'm Beekeeper all the way. Not this one.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember who this guy was. Like was it Fred Hikinger? Okay, like Gladiator 2. Like
He's the guy that yells, "The gods have spoken." It's him. That's
He's
him.
he was in every movie last year. He was in Nickel Boys. He was in
He was in
2.
the masterpiece Gladiator 2.
Yes.
And he has one of my favorite moments of the movie.
He's one of the twin kings.
Oh God.
He was also in Craven.
Me.
Yeah, he's the chameleon in Craven the Hunter. He's in everything.
I fucking forgot he was Craven the Hunt. In Craven the
Oh
Hunter.
my God, he's the annoying. He's the annoying one of the annoying. Oh God, okay.
Yeah, he's last year's actor they're trying to make happen. That he's fine in little roles like this, but
He should go in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt pile. Put him down. Like, nah, we're done. Hope he retires from acting. Go ahead.
I liked him in this. I thought he was fine in this. Like the rest of that crap, probably not. Yeah, I'm kind of with John. I think more John than everybody else. And I really like this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite movies of like last year, but it's definitely one of the higher up ones. Like I was just kind of won over immediately by the concept that, okay, it's just June Squibb doing like old people action stuff. And like, she's doing this investigating, like walking around but she's also still like an old person. She's like, I think I know that person. She just has like a random 5-minute conversation with them,
and like doesn't know him.
Yeah, I guess we don't know each other. Okay, see, and I think the movie does a decent job to where I think it easily has you buy into what's happening when the instigating moment is like her being hit by like one of the old people phone scam type things. And you're like, okay, yeah, I want to see June Squibb get her fucking money back. And okay, and like Clark Gregg, Parker Posey, they don't believe in her, so she's gonna do it herself. And then in the middle, it then becomes kind of like a buddy action movie with her and like Richard Roundtree. Like that's a lot of fun. I think the only part of it that I kind of almost wish was the other. It felt weird when we got to like Malcolm McDowell at the end that he's like screwing these people over, but we get to see Malcolm McDowell, so whatever. Like, but yeah, like just I feel like just the concept was really neat. It's also one of those movies that's like just barely over 90 minutes, so I feel like it doesn't overstay its welcome. And yeah, like June Squid and like the whole cast is really just a delight. I had a ball with this movie.
And it's based on the director's actual grandmother, because there's that scene at
There's
the
that
end of
last
the movie,
shot,
and
yeah.
they show you her actually saying that. So like it's semi, I guess, biographical, but I don't know if she got scammed. But,
Probably
like,
just based on events, kind of.
yeah, it's he put his grandmother as the character in the movie, pretty much.
She didn't try to steal her like one of her friend's scooters in a in a retirement home, and then go in a high speed chase in the retirement home.
That's all. I'm like, damn, grandma video game. Yeah, again, like I don't think there's no way a bad movie, and I don't know if I'm gonna strike anything, but the guy that thought Boy Kills World is number one of his list, I'm not really surprised that Thelma hit for you in this one, so that makes sense. You said it better, less slurs this, as you're not drinking as much right now, so that's good. Yeah, but again, her in a role had a lot of fun. Like overall, didn't like, oh, is this movie over? It was fine. It just, with Coho, I think it did last. It's 90 minutes. I still think the 90 minutes felt a little bit like, all right, can we do 80? Like, can we cut off 10? But that was her just walking and moving because she's 94, so there's going to be some slow movement. Who directed this movie?
Josh Margolin. He's not.
Is it the first one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his first movie.
Okay, well, I was like, that was curious. I mean, for a first shot, like, not a bad swing. Overall. Anything else on Thelma? I don't want to go off of it too fast.
Richard Roundtree's final movie, everybody.
Oh,
yeah.
You're saying that name like I should know.
He's Shaft. Shaft.
Damn right.
Gotcha.
Can you dig it?
I can. I can dig it. Somebody thought there was a trivia question that just came up, and somebody thought Shaft was a part of a franchise. I don't know, but I can't remember. It's gone. Somebody says you're defaming Parker Posey. What was that? What'd you say about her, Brian? That was wrong.
I think that she can be a little grating. There have been roles like this one she wasn't as bad in, and there's roles I have liked her in. But even the roles I've liked her in, it's because she's supposed to be playing someone who's kind of a lot. Just not.
Yeah, she doesn't really step far away from that role. She's always like an extra woman, more or less. Yeah.
I feel like she fits in this movie. She plays a really good,
she was fine in it,
overbearing mother.
Okay. John, what's your score?
It's a 5-star movie for me. I love this movie. I'll defend this movie, and that's coming from me, who shouldn't love this movie, but I love this movie. I relate to this movie. That's my family.
That's how I felt when I watched Nebraska. I was like, "That's my family."
Put that we're in it. There you go.
I can see my son has that relationship with my mother, and like I'm the guy in the middle where he's like, I just want her to have a good death, and I'm telling my son like, there's no such thing as a good death.
Yeah, like I could have saw this movie one like Sunday at like 11 o'clock, but I didn't want to, do that. So I kind of wish I did. I kind of wish I did now. I would have had a good time in the theater at that time. 4 stars. It's very good.
3 stars. That's where I'm at. It's not bad. It's not great. It's fine. Coho.
3.5. I would say I had an overall positive time watching it, but nothing I'm going to watch again.
Brian.
3.
Okay. We could just end the show now and move on if we want to. You want to just explain your war crimes to the viewers? First of all, where the fuck did you see this movie? 2, why the fuck would you add it to a list? 3, why at the age that you're at right now, you don't treat it like the things that should have stayed where it was when you were a child? for why do you fucking hate me? And you decided to first live show. I was like, oh, round table, we're doing live. It's gonna be good. Fucking you dropped, and you're the first person. You didn't gauge the room. You set the room. You're like, fuck it. This is it. I don't even know where you fucking found this. This was not even. We're not far off the same age. This did not hit my household. This hit your Texas ass. So please proceed.
All right, listen. I think my general thought was like, okay, we took that small hiatus for a couple months. I wasn't on that December show, so I was thinking, oh, like yeah, we're doing live show now, but maybe the show's days are numbered. Like I don't know what's going on. So like if I got to get this movie on here, I got to do it like right now. Like that was my thing. Like, hey,
Jeremy Potter's go back to bed. Go back to bed.
Mark felt the crunch. He needed to get it. Like the door was closing, and he's Indiana Jones sliding on.
We just renewed for a whole nother year. Where do you think the shows? We at least have like I don't know 6 more months.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't in on those negotiations, so I figured, I had to it's either now or never. Like honestly, this was maybe like one of the whenever I got put as a host, this is honestly one of the first movies I think I added onto like the list of things to watch, mainly because like it was a movie in which like my brothers liked a lot for whatever reason. Like they put it on. It was a movie like I remember seeing like kind of as I was younger because they would bring it up every now and again, and I remember liking it. But it also had been years since I had seen it. I just remembered like constantly like quoting like these little parts like throughout of this like with my brothers, like the like kind of like when he's going down the thing and like he has that gun, he's like the let's find out thing. Like I remember like me and my brothers used to quote that all the time. And also like the like I have not yet begun to fight, but I would be a good time to start. Like little shit like that. And I had been curious to bring it here just because this is like kind of this is our movie world. And I feels like every day I'm on call with somebody, every one person brings up a movie I've never fucking heard of in my life. But nobody's ever brought up Space Invaders. I thought it would come up at least once. Like, somebody like, hey, remember that 1990 movie Space Invaders? Like, no, nobody did. So like, okay, I get to bring this treat to everybody. This like kind of nice, like, weird, like kind of family kitschy treat to everybody.
It's a dog treat. This is a dog treat.
Turns out, I guess not a ton of people really like this. So, but I honestly had a lot of fun going back to this. I honestly think this is kind of like a lot of really neat, just underrated like comedy bits in here. And I like how it's just weird, kind of back in the day sci-fi, but like for kids in the night. It's such a weird concept. And like I don't know, I just vibe with this movie, especially like when you get into the the end where like the girl is like, "Come on, Dad, like they're not dangerous, they're just idiots." I'm like, yeah, that's what this is. It's just like stupid aliens, like just doing stupid stuff. Like they landed on this world because they thought War of the Worlds was like a battle cry. Like that's hilarious. Like come on. Like, but yeah, I wanted to revisit it since I had not seen it in a long time, and I honestly just very curious if people thought about it. First show back, thought, hey, why the hell not? And apparently that is what it is. Should have waited. I guess this should have been next time when Jeremy was on. Like
I'm not gonna ask who's seen this movie before. Before we get into this, things from our childhood and things that happened, should stay there. I remember getting called to the theater to watch a movie called The Borrowers. No one's ever heard. I never heard anybody talk about that movie before. But I wouldn't make anybody else watch that fucking movie, even though I saw it at 8 years old and I thought it was one of the greatest films ever achieved. I also forgot one of the worst kids actors in human history is Lex from Jurassic Park. And let me tell you, you found another movie where I have to deal with Lex for Jurassic Park. That fucking sucks, and I ain't happy about it. Yeah, this is a bad time. This is a bad time. This was everything. Like, I liked Space Jam when I was a child. I thought Space Jam was one of the coolest movies ever. I rewatched it when I was older, and that should have stayed in the 90s where it was left. I was like, it's not that great of a movie anymore. It's not that good. What did everybody think of this movie? Did anybody watch this movie prior? Okay. Tread carefully. Did you like it when you watched it the first time? And did you like it even more after watching it this?
I was 10 years old when I saw this movie the first time.
That's fair.
And I did not remember ever watching it until I was watching it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I've seen this. So that was, but then like, I did not enjoy it this time. So I don't know. I don't remember enjoying it as a child. And this did not bring up fond, nostalgic memories to me. I could have watched the Garbage Pail Kids movie. I remember seeing this in theaters. This was awesome when I was 7. But this is below the Garbage Pail Kids movie for me, basically.
Who hurt you, Jeremy? Somebody clearly hurt you to like this.
The only thing I really will say about this movie that like is just like a horror fans type thing is they took Royal Dano and he's playing the same exact character he's playing in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The director's just like, can you do that shit again? And then they just made him a character that doesn't die throughout the whole movie. That which is crazy to me as a horror person.
Brian, you've never seen this movie prior?
I have not. This
you
movie
waiting.
No, this movie came out in 1990, you said, which I was no longer a kid then. That's the year I graduated high school, because I'm old as shit. But so, I mean, maybe if I had seen this as a kid, I might have enjoyed it, but I didn't watch it at the time because it obviously looked a little childish. And then I watched it now, and watching it when I'm even older doesn't do it favors. Because it's just, the credits weren't even done rolling, and I was already rolling my eyes at some of the jokes and humor, and it was just like I was gonna try and sit back and just let myself go. I know it's gonna be like silly humor, like I said, I know it's targeted towards a younger audience, but I'm gonna just try and watch it and just take it for what it is. But it's like none of the jokes were hitting. They got one Martian who, for no fucking reason, is doing a Jack Nicholson impression the entire movie. They got another one who sounds like he's trying to do a Cary Grant voice. And I'm just like, I don't know. If they said something like they learned by watching, Earth TV or something, that's why they came with this. No, it's just, he's just doing Jack Nicholson just for the fucking hell of it. It looks like it had an effects budget of about $11. Because things were
that might be too much.
Really cheap looking. And the cat I didn't recognize, except for Ariana Richards Lex got the introducing credit in this one, but other than her, the only person I recognized was like the sheriff, and I only knew him because he was Lee Major's sidekick partner in the TV version of Fall Guy, and so I recognized him from it. But yeah, this one was just a miss for me.
You didn't recognize Royal Dano from Killer Clowns?
I hadn't even seen Killer Clowns till last year. But
it didn't even have the aliens on screen. And when that sheriff shows up and the old man just pointing his shotgun at him and he's like, I was like, fuck it out. Like, this is terrible.
The credits weren't done rolling yet.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the Jack Nicholson, when that part happened, I think like the director goes, make it your own. Just make it your own. I think I'm going to do Jack Nicholson. Go for it, man. Just go for it.
This is the same director as Baby's Day Out. Don't forget,
Jack Resurgence.
Yeah, he did Baby's Day Out as well. So his filmography is stellar.
Jesus. Coho. What'd you think?
When I was a kid, I grew up watching Thomas the Tank Engine. There was a movie that came out in like 2000 called Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And I used to think that was the greatest movie ever made. You're fucked in the head if you think I'm ever bringing that movie to the round table for you idiots to ruin that for me. So, Mark, thank you for letting me into your childhood. I wish to never go back. You had a terrible childhood because this movie is shit. But I am happy that it made you happy. Maybe keep your childhood to yourself next time.
I don't mind. Like I'll sit here and like it doesn't matter to me. Like I'll bring on whatever. And like just happy with it. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. The Jack Nick I kind of love the Jack Nicholson alien. Like he's doing like that bad impression, and like he's got like the air pilot like flak jacket on for like some reason. Like they're imitating humans, even though they've never been to Earth before. Like that's stupid, but it's hilarious. It like I don't know, like all the like the quippy little one-liners, those going on, and then they're clearly intelligent life forms. Like, oh yeah, intelligent life forms. That would get them off the trail. Like I don't know. Like I was just giggling
I'm
throughout this
100%.
entire thing, and like as if I was a little kid. It still works for me today.
I've never been more on the side of
Tiny AB
Brian Michaels than right now. You quoting that shit just hurt me inside on a deep level because you're a deep down thought that was funny. And let me tell you, I will say your delivery was better than the actors in that movie delivering it, but that doesn't help you. Everybody that sees something from their childhood that was arguably bad, and then when they revisit it, normally like, holy shit, that was what made that good. You're the only motherfucker out there that's like, this is so great. I love it. Listen, I respect you as a person, but this is like every show episode of TV that we ever do is where I sit there and say, oh, I don't know, it wasn't for me. Mark Peasant, I kind of liked it. This is it. So this is our friendship. It is what it is. I've never been on co-host side more than keep your childhood to yourself. Like crazy. Again, I don't know. I guess you're right. The fun thing about this community is we say something on call and we're like, what? Or we get a trivia question that they're like, huh? I've never heard that film. So there's so many movies out there. The fact that this hit you, I'm shocked, but I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. You're gonna join the Hall of Fame of the show, I think, tonight with some of the lowest scores ever given. So that's great. I'm happy for you. But Mark, I'm really curious. What's your score? Because you were giggling to yourself by quoting some of these. So don't lie.
You know what? Okay. I didn't realize that, I had brought on another, like, oh yeah, Ariana Richards is in that type movie, because I forgot, oh yeah, I also brought on Tremors and then this. So, like, okay, just, bringing on the movies in which, Lex from Jurassic Park is on. Yeah, mainly, mainly because I feel like it's going to be bad. I will give this movie 4 stars. I think it's underrated. I still had a great time watching it. Like, yeah, and I'm probably gonna quote some of these lines to my brothers tomorrow whenever I call them at this point.
Ho.
1 star. That was bad.
Brian.
I'm going to generously give this movie 1.5 stars because there were a couple things that made me chuckle. And also when I was like putting it in Letterboxd, I was looking at what else I've watched this year. And I'm like, there's a couple of movies that were way worse than it. So I'm like, I had to give it a bump to a little bit. So 1.5.
John.
I understand where Mark is coming from. I remember 1990 pretty vividly. I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out and Siskel and Ebert shit on it. And I said, fuck you to my television. I remember that. I remember being that 10-year-old kid. 2 stars.
Half star.
This is next to Cannibal?
I'm sorry. Everybody was nice. They were like trying to build your feelings. This is horrible.
I toyed with 1 for a long time. I was giving it a ton.
This is horrible. Everything in this movie is bad. There is no. He said he chuckled. That's fine. I blank stared for the runtime of this movie. That's an issue.
I just got a question before we move on. Is this movie better or worse than Cannibal the Musical?
Way worse.
Fuck.
It's gotta be worse.
Worse.
Oh, come on. I'm worse than Cannibal the Musical?
Cannibal's awesome.
Oh, that's instinctively wrong. But
the sky is blue.
You're also one that has joined the half-star ranks for being on the show, so congratulations. Okay. The last movie of the night. and this just may be true. I don't know if this is true because I haven't really done the research myself, but everybody says 1999 is a fantastic year of film. And this movie definitely helped that cause a little bit more. Brian, why did you bring this?
Mainly just because I love this movie and I've seen how few people on my like Letterboxd friends have actually watched this movie. So I want to encourage more people to check it out. They don't all have to love it as much as me, but I want them to at least give it a shot. Because I mean, you hear Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo in kind of a romance movie. I mean, yes, it has a crime element to it, but it's something a lot of people aren't just going to rush out to see. For myself, I mean, I think I originally liked it because this is Pierce Brosnan, in the middle of his Bond run, top of his game, reuniting with John McTiernan, who he did John McTiernan's first film, Nomads, with him. And John McTiernan, I love him with, Die Hard and Predator and Hunt for Red October and all those kind of things. And this is another one kind of like I was talking about with Donner, where it's kind of an anomaly on his filmography because, like I says, his crime romance thing is nothing like anything else that he's done. And I kind of feel like if he wanted to get out of action, he could have had a good career going on doing more of these kind of, adult audience kind of movies if he hadn't, gone to jail for wiretapping and then just decided not to direct after that. But I love McTiernan's style. This movie, I kind of compare it to Out of Sight, where it just kind of everything about this movie just oozes cool. Everybody in it just kind of has a great style to them. It's a very breezy watch. I think Bill Conti's musical score is awesome, especially when he's using the piano. Now, there's a couple points where he gets in like this weird electric guitar when they're doing, like the pseudo heist, the distraction heist, that sounds a little bit weird. But Bill Conti's score, I think, is phenomenal. The songs and the soundtrack, I think, are great. Rene Russo, sexy as hell in this movie. Her and Pierce Brosnan, I think, have tremendous chemistry. I think some of the best chemistry I've honestly seen in films. I totally buy them together. I like the cat and mouse game they're kind of playing with each other, kind of where nobody's overtly saying it, but like he's accusing and he's not really admitting to it, but he's saying, well, if I did do it, this is what I'd steal. And it's just, they kind of do this dance where they know what the other person's thinking, but they aren't going to say it out loud because then they can't kind of keep going in this relationship they're trying to pretend to have. But yeah, the cast top to bottom. Dennis Leary was even good. He's playing not his usual Dennis Leary self. You just get a toned down plain role. I think he does a great job in here. Pierce Brosnan, obviously great as the main character, as this rich guy who, he has everything. So he's basically bored. And so he does these heists just to do something exciting. Yes, he got the art, but obviously he put it back. Spoiler alert again, but he put it back basically the next day. And nobody knew it until the end. And that's the main thing about this movie is the heists. The heists are so much fun. The beginning one and especially the end one, I just find myself smiling ear to ear when I'm watching those things. I think that they're just done so well. They're so stylish. It's kind of like, Ocean's 11 kind of vibe to it, where except they don't over explain things here. You just you learn it as they're learning how it's done. And I just love the hell out of it. He was one step ahead of him at all times. Great movie. I like that they put Faye Dunaway in kind of cameo as the therapist because she's obviously from the original one, which honestly I've never seen the original one. I thought about watching it, but can't get into it. Anyway, what'd you think?
Anybody see this movie prior? Wow. Okay, cool. This movie is awesome. This movie's fucking awesome. I always saw the poster for the longest time and thought, what the fuck is he doing a Bond movie that's not Bond? Like, it was always weird to me because he by the poster it looks directly like one of the Bonds that he did. Arguably one of the better it's not Bond, but it's like better than most of the movies he was as Bond. I had so much fun with this.
It feels like it could have been Bond like after he retired.
Yeah. A rich guy fucking around just stealing paintings for the hell of it. Like, that's just awesome. And the cat and mouse between her and him and like the actual like chemistry that both of them have really well. Just how she has it all set up. Oh, how he has it all set up and how they think they got it. The ending, like the bowler hat thing, was such a interesting swing. I was worried when I saw Dennis Leary because I'm like, he can either be very hit or miss. But I think he's really good in this movie as like as the detective on the case. Yeah, I was like, holy shit, I had so much fun with this movie from the get go. Because I was like, when you first watch it and he's doing like the first one and they're breaking in, I don't think he has anything to do with it. And then when he does, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be really interesting. And how quick she is to like notice things and pick things out and like get it. I thought it was really smart how they and like her inner struggles that she has, like what the fuck, this guy's literally a criminal, but the pain's been there the whole time. I thought there's so many interesting, unique ways. I never knew this movie was as good as it was, and that may just be me because this is just it checks every box in kind of movie that I go for. I'm curious, what did everybody else think?
I'll go. Like even though I'm kind of like in the middle on this movie a little bit.
It's no
Because
Space Invaders. Say that.
Yeah, fucking 4-star Space Invader, no
That's
issue.
It is no Space Invaders.
I really like the heist bits of it. When it's a heist movie, and when we got like the Rene Russo, like Pierce Brosnan, like cat and mouse side of it, I really like this movie, and I feel like the best parts of John McTiernan come out in this movie, and I can't get enough of that. The thing that kind of drives me up the wall though is like for I would say from like the middle of the second act to like kind of close to the end of the third, it like stops being like a heist, like kind of thriller action movie, and it's just a romance. And I just don't care about that. Like it's like okay, like they're falling in love, like whatever. I don't care. And I think I would have liked that more. I would have liked it more if there was still clearly more of a cat and mouse side of it. But I feel like they kind of abandoned that a little bit when she steals what she thought was the Monet painting in his house. And then it just kind of goes to them just kind of wooing each other. I'm like, okay, like this is fine. They have solid enough chemistry, but it's like I just don't care about this. I rather, we just kind of, cat and mouse it up and, just kind of be kind of more like, I don't know, like basic action is the right way to say it, but I just kind of like that we were less focused on the love story. I think because I will be honest, mainly because I bought it not too long ago, I was really curious to see how this kind of stood up to the 69. Was it 69 version of Thomas Crown Affair or like whatever?
8, I think.
68. Yeah.
Something like
Whichever. The original Thomas Crown Affair. I just bought it. And if I had time, I was going to watch it, and I did. And so I watched that. And this is a much better version of that movie because the original Thomas Crown Affair, even though it's got, Steve McQueen and like I kind of want to watch more Steve McQueen stuff, it is boring as shit. Like it has like one okay kind of like thief moment in it, and then it's just kind of okay, we're doing stuff like trying to catch Thomas Crown. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like at least like this movie like has like some fun parts in it, and it's at least like a step up from what we got before. But it's just like it annoys me because I feel like this is a movie that I almost love. If there was like maybe a decision or two different, I would love this movie probably as much as I like, McTiernan's other things.
I guess like I'm also in the middle on this movie. There's a few things about it just bother me. I mean, I think it's a solid, like all the twists are solid. The mystery thriller part of it, I guess, if you want to call it that, is solid. Rene Russo just kind of strikes me as like a sad cougar in this movie. Like I would have liked somebody who's like maybe like 10 years younger than her, maybe like because she's 45 at this point. She's not as hot as she acts like she is in this movie. And that took me out of it. Then there's also the fact that the final heist, they just don't explain how he got the fucking painting out of there. He's like, hey, the fire shutter's closed and I got the paint. David blamed the painting out of the building. And they just give you no explanation. They're like, yeah, well, fuck you. You don't need one. Where they explained everything else prior. So that upset me. But aside from those things and just seeing rich people do rich people shit, which also bothers me as a commoner, it's fine.
Oh.
Okay, so these guys are dumb. This movie fucking rips. This is awesome. Brian's totally right. This is completely well written. really well plotted. Because I think Mark's totally wrong about like when it's like romantic, it's not a cat and mouse. I think it continues to be a cat and mouse. It's just a different kind than what you're looking for. It's not just the art. It goes beyond just did he steal it, did he not? And now it's is he playing me, is he not? Does he like me, does he not? Is this real and what's fake? To me, it's like another level to the whole thing for me. I do think that Pierce Brosnan is like epic in this. He's so good for this part. He's like so perfect as that like charming. I buy him as being this really bored like billionaire. That's like I got nothing better to do. I want to see if I can do this thing. And I think you guys are right. Like casting the current Bond to do that is kind of a great meta pull to do to make that work because you automatically, because of what you know of Pierce Brosnan's on-screen persona, already bring something to that role, just inherently by casting Pierce Brosnan. I think he delivers on it in every way. Yeah, this was great all the way through. I was not expecting what I got. I guess I kind of was expecting just like, okay, this is gonna be a solid, maybe crime thriller of some type. I don't really kind of know much about Thomas Crown, and I came out of it just totally just blown away. So that was a really fun time.
Yeah, I didn't know much. I normally don't know much about one movies when I watch them before because I don't like. That's why I don't watch trailers or anything because I try to avoid all that. But no, I was really surprised. I don't disagree a little bit with Mark because there are some parts like that, like their wild sex night, like that's fine. But like
Looked uncomfortable.
it just like he looked exhausted and beat the shit, and she was like, "We're not fucking done." I'm like, "Good lord!"
That's what I
They
love
weren't
Jumping wa-
properly hydrated. Was the
like, and
problem.
that's fine. Like they have that chemistry, so it worked in that regard. But I'm like, I get where that chunk of thing may have just been a little bit takes you out of it. But yeah, it's also kind of like a Batman thing. Like she figures it out pretty quickly, but when they find that briefcase with that like titanium that can hold like that much tons. I don't know how many people live in the city, like where they could figure it out, but she finds it out really quick that it's got to be this motherfucker because he's rich as shit, and like who else is gonna have a briefcase with all this? But the rest are like, I have no idea. Who could it be? But yeah, for it to be there, the dog's playing poker underneath, like those
I
little
love
that
that.
stuff is just so funny to me. And her like inner struggle, I think she does a really good job in this movie because her inner struggle, like having to decide whether to like go with him or not, and she's like, "We can just leave now. We'll be fugitives." Yeah, but we'll be fugitives with access. Like we can go anywhere. Like we have so much money. And then I do love the twist or whatever. Is like takes the painting and she's like, "I'd kill for that pain. Anything's gettable. Like you can get anything." And then to give her at the end, where's that struggle? And of course, it's like the steamy '90s or whatever. Like she climbs over the before 9/11, where you could do whatever the fuck you want on a plane. She just hops over the seat and starts making out with him. Man, get in your seat. But no, I was again. It's everything. It checks every box that I wanted in a kind of movie. Yeah, don't judge a poster is what I'll say. And no, I have not seen the original, but with Mark seeing it, also
everything
I
Mark
guess
said just kind of reinforced what I suspected about it, so I probably wouldn't bother.
You don't have to.
I also am under I guess I'm under like a rock or whatever. I never knew John McTiernan's like legal troubles that he got into. I have no idea why he stopped or any of that. So that's interesting.
The thing is, this movie
yeah.
came out the same month as his movie, The 13th Warrior, with Antonio Banderas. Because that thing had all kinds of problems, like studio interference. They wanted to mess it up, and they re-edited it and everything. And so he like basically rushed this movie into production so he could get it out to kind of minimize the damage to his career from now on. Like, I got a bomb coming out. Quick, gotta make a good one.
Interesting. Anything else we want to touch on this film? I do love the score. I'm with you. I do love the score on this. I think it's really
the piano bits, like you were talking about, Brian, are really, really good. I agree.
Oh, that bowler hat scene. It seems also on the nose, but it was so fun to just watch it all play out where he's just like just dropping to the briefcases. Follow the briefcase. I was just like, this is
just start arresting people.
Just start arresting.
That was part of me too, is like because I was a little annoyed when we got to that. It's like, Why can't the whole fucking movie be like this? Like the bowler hat thing, playing Cinderman in the background. It was awesome. I love that part. I'm like, Jesus. Like
Because you can't just steal all day long, Mark. You have to have.
Yeah,
You
the
can't be
song was
Jack
perfect for
Nicholson
that
the
scene, too.
entire movie.
we could have had like mini steals in it or whatever. I don't know.
Well, he's a millionaire. He doesn't really have to really steal all the time. He just does it for shits and giggles, which is hilarious to me. Like a guy with so much money and can buy shit, he's just like, fuck it. I'm gonna hire this crew to do this shit just to get the Spain I want. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
I'm gonna hire these Eastern European guys, just hang them out to dry. Sorry,
fucking ruin their life.
sorry,
Trick one of
comrade.
them, make sure they get captured, and be like, bye. The rich gets richer. Okay. Scores starting with Brian.
For years I had this at 4.5, and then finally at some point I realized like there's nothing about it I don't love, so it's 5 stars for me.
John.
I'll just be at 3 stars and be wrong about it. 3 stars for me.
Mark.
It's very much on the edge. Honestly, Pierce Brosnan is the guy I kind of wish would get like a redo for his career. I don't think I've seen like a really great movie from Brosnan of him as a lead. Like I'm
as
kind
a
of the same.
lead?
I'll be the same as John. I'll give it 3 stars.
Like, have you ever watched fucking Mrs. Doubtfire, you slut? But you said lead, so we'll give you that. Coho.
Borderline 4.5. I'm gonna go 4 for now, but borderline. It's like right there. But I loved it. It was great.
I'm not afraid. 4.5. I fucking love this movie. I would watch this movie on loop for the rest of my life before I'd ever pop in Space Invaders one more time. Let me tell you that. Okay, so to wrap up the show, next month is April 27th. We'll get the thumbnail. Brian does the thumbnail, so when I give him the movies and he makes me one, I'll put it on the channel. Tomorrow night we have the announcement. Act 1, very anticlimactic. Nothing really exciting happened in Act 1 because we didn't get a single title match. But we will do a recap of Act 1. TV Chronicles is moving over here. We're doing the Last of Us recap starting Thursday the 17th, and that will follow every time after that. Then this Thursday we will be live at 8:30 Eastern to do the Last of Us season 1 breakdown, and season 2 of our show that we've done. We're doing The Sopranos, Mad Men, and The Shield. That will start on the first Thursday in May. We break down 3 episodes basically per week per show. So come join us on the chat. And yes, big announcement tomorrow. Shockwaves. Won't be Oscars, but I do have a pitch for Oscars. I'm going to do a roundtable, basically a roundtable, where I'm going to have everybody that dislikes the Oscars and everybody that loves the Oscars come on, have a debate on it, and then I'll put a poll up on the end of the year. And if you can sway people, you can sway people, and then we can get away with it. But yeah, that's what's happening with Oscars. But we'll see you tomorrow night, 8:30, 8 EST. Bye.